How's it going, everybody? Nintendo Enthusiast here. Today, I want to talk about Age of Calamity. I really like the game, but I have some qualms with the game, let's just say. So, I want to talk about those today, and if you enjoy unscripted, unfiltered opinions on Nintendo Switch games, or early reviews and previews on Switch games, because I'm fortunate enough to get early copies of games, maybe hit subscribe, or if you just want to hang out for this video, that's cool as well. Now, let's jump into Age of Calamity. I'll start off with all of my positive thoughts on the game. First off, the combat is a blast. I love using the Sheikah Slate. I love using the special magic attacks like the ice and the lightning. All that stuff is really cool. And honestly, I think it's a big step up from the first Hyrule Warriors game. I've been playing through the game mostly as Link. I haven't really had to switch characters very much, especially since you can just direct the characters around the battlefield, so you can just tell them to go to one portion of the map while you're making your way to another portion, and then you can just switch to them whenever they get there and kill some baddies and then switch back to your main guy if that's what you want to do. But yeah, I've been having a bunch of fun just mainly playing as Link. I really like using the Sheikah Slate, especially being able to propel yourself up in the air using the ice attack, and then gliding with the glider, and then coming down on a bunch of enemies with a powerful attack. It never gets old. And there are just a bunch of little combos that you can do with the Sheikah Slate that are really satisfying and I think overall more fun than Hyrule Warriors 1. And to add to that, the structure of the game and the level design are way better than Hyrule Warriors 1. If you play Hyrule Warriors 1 and you actually look at the levels that you're at and the areas that you're fighting in, they really don't make any sense. There are just big open sections of like a castle town or something like that. There's nothing in, it's completely empty. In Age of Calamity, there's actually, detailed environments where everything actually makes sense. There's this Hyrule field area, and it's open, that makes sense. And then there's this, town area, and it's not open, it's more cramped. And that's how it is in Breath of the Wild. And I'm glad that they didn't change that in this version of the same environments that are supposed to be in Breath of the Wild. I'm glad that there are still compact areas that actually make sense. There are even some houses you can walk into, which is unlike anything in Hyrule Warriors 1. And I really appreciate that. I'm glad that they didn't just give us these weird areas. Like in Hyrule Warriors 1, you basically go to different time zones of Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and there's another one that you do, I can't remember. I believe Wind Waker's in there, but anyway. And if you look at the worlds, they're not based on anything. The environments look kind of similar to the games they're based off of, but it's not like you're walking around Hyrule Field from Ocarina of Time. I think that would have been awesome. Or Kakariko Village in Ocarina of Time. That's nowhere to be seen in Hyrule Warriors 1. Whereas in Age of Calamity, it's actually using environments based off of Breath of the Wild. And I like that way more than what they did with Hyrule Warriors 1. And it actually leads to better moments. There's this mission. This is minor spoilers, not really spoilers, but in Age of Calamity, you're rushing Hyrule Castle, and it's just you and your crew, and you're trying to make your way up to the top of the castle, and then you have to escape. And through all of that, it's wow, this is actually built like a castle would be in Zelda. It's not just this weird level design where it's just giving you big areas because you're going to need them to do these big, powerful attacks. No, it's actually structured and built like a real castle on the inside. It felt more like I was playing a Zelda game, and in the section of Age of Calamity, the music was so good. The gameplay, which I talked about, is a blast. And it's just a really awesome moment of the game. It was one of the few, I think, very memorable moments in Age of Calamity. And I'll probably jump into another section, but that's a little more spoilery, but I want to talk about that later. This whole video is going to be kind of spoilery from here on out, so if you want to tune out, go ahead, but now I'm going to jump into the story stuff, and that's where my gripes come in with this game. So, they marketed the game like it was a prequel to Breath of the Wild, and that was really awesome. I was very excited for that. But then when the demo came out, you kind of find out that it's not really a prequel. It is and it isn't. Because technically, because this event happens at the beginning of Age of Calamity, there's this little baby guardian, okay, who basically gets sucked into another vortex, and he goes back in time to before the Great Calamity War and before they lost the war. And he basically has the ability to warn them about what's going to happen. And just the fact that he exists in that world is already changing the trajectory of what's going to happen in those characters' futures. So as soon as he goes back in time, it's technically a split universe, alternate reality. As soon as that Guardian goes back in time, it's like an alternate split reality. But you could still take some stuff from this reality that still probably happened in Breath of the Wild's world, and definitely still matters in Breath of the Wild's world. But the fact that this is not technically canon to the world of Breath of the Wild really disappointed me, because we know that the four champions all perish in the Great Calamity War. And I always thought that was really interesting and really bold of a Nintendo game to do. It's basically say, yeah, the good guys lost. And this is 100 years later, and you're waking up, you're clueless, and you gotta go save the world. And I loved that. I really liked that. And the more time that passes, I'm thinking, man, that's a really cool setup for a story. And then they announced this prequel, and it's like, wow, they could do so many cool things because we know that the good guys lose. We know that there's going to be a horribly sad ending with all of these characters that we're probably going to end up liking a lot because we're going to get to know them better in Age of Calamity, which you do. You do get to know them better and their backstories. And the fact that this could have led to all the characters dying at the end, I think would have been a way better ending. Sorry if you heard some background noise. I had to get my son another drink. And in general, you're probably going to hear some background noise because the kids are on Thanksgiving break, and I'm trying to find time to record this video. But anyway, I think they could have had an amazing ending. I think it could have been truly unique to create a game and a story based around the fact that all of these characters are going to die. We could have gotten to know all these characters, which you do in the game. You do in Age of Calamity, but the fact that it doesn't lead up to this emotional moment where they could have had all of these heroes or champions die in the game with an amazing musical score, because the music in the game is amazing. I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but they could have had an awesome emotional moment, very reminiscent of something like the end of Infinity War, Avengers, how, spoilers, I mean, it's been out for a while, how all those characters end up dying at the end. That was a bold ending, and I think Age of Calamity ending like that could have been something truly special, especially if the screen ended up fading black and then it lights up and it's Link laying in the water at the beginning of Breath of the Wild and he opens his eyes, or Zelda says, "Link, open your eyes," like in that trailer, and she says that in the game, I believe, and then he opens his eyes and then hard cut, black screen, the game ends. That would have been so awesome, because then it's like, dang, I want to go play Breath of the Wild after that. That was freaking amazing. I have to know now. Even though I've already played it, I gotta remember all the stuff that just happened in Age of Calamity, and then go see those characters and those flashbacks again of the champions. I just feel like that would have been a way more satisfying ending to Age of Calamity. But no, the champions win. It's a happy time, and that's pretty much the end of it. It's a split reality where nothing really matters, and that's unfortunate. But anyway, one thing I do love, I love getting to know the backstory of these characters and seeing how Zelda struggles to get her power, basically, and how emotional that is for her, and how she can't really handle it, and she's seeing all these people succeed around her, and it's really a coming of age story for Zelda, who finally gets her power by the end of the game. And the thing about it is a lot of the stuff that happens in Age of Calamity probably did happen in the timeline that Breath of the Wild existed in. The main thing that's different, though, is that in the Breath of the Wild timeline, the good guys lost, and in this timeline, Zelda gets her power and they win. And this game has some really good emotional moments. So I'm going to assume a lot of this stuff did happen in the continuity or the timeline of Breath of the Wild. But the fact that it is this split alternate universe thing, it really bums me out, because I think they could have done something really special. Like Breath of the Wild, the fact that it opens the game and you basically figure out that the good guys lost. I keep saying that, and that's just so different for Nintendo. It's so different in general. That doesn't happen in story very much, at least in my realm of pop culture nerdiness, video games, comic book movies, that kind of stuff. And I really like that. And I think Koei Tecmo really had something special to work with. And it's just really unfortunate that they decided to do this split timeline thing. It just bums me out a little bit. But like I said, I'm still really enjoying this game. I love the music. I love the gameplay. It's awesome. The graphics, while the performance is bad, and I'll get to that, I really like how it looks really similar to Breath of the Wild. I'll just be walking around and exploring. And that's another thing. This game, you actually have time to do things. In Hyrule Warriors 1, I felt like I was always in a rush. I couldn't just stop and explore or try to find a secret in the environment. It wasn't going to happen. In this game, you can actually take your time in a lot of scenarios where you're just supposed to get to a certain part of the map and it's going to trigger a cutscene. In this game, you can stop, look around, try to find some Korok seeds, try to find a secret enemy base so you can get some extra loot. And I love that about this game. It makes it feel more like a Zelda game. And I'm surprised that Hyrule Warriors 1 wasn't more like that. And the fact that, like I said, the environments are actually structured like real environments in a Zelda game makes it even more fun and entertaining. Because you feel like you're actually playing a mix of a Musou game and a Legend of Zelda game. Hyrule Warriors 1 didn't really feel like that. It felt like mostly a Musou game. So the blending of the two genres is so much better in Age of Calamity. And honestly, despite my qualms with the story, I still like this a lot more than Hyrule Warriors 1. I felt like Hyrule Warriors 1 had a lot to work with as well, and they didn't really take advantage of it. They did this big split universe timeline thing where they could go and jump into a bunch of Zelda games, and then the battlefields and stuff, they didn't really feel like those games. Like, the Twilight Princess realm didn't really feel like Twilight Princess. Ocarina didn't really feel like Ocarina. Whereas this feels like Breath of the Wild, and I really appreciate that. It's so fantastic in terms of the graphics, the setting, and the environments, that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, with the performance, this game just does not run well at all. And that's really unfortunate. It really makes me wish that there was a Switch Pro around the corner. I'm hoping that there is. There are rumors that it might come out as early as March next year. For future games, that'd be great, but it's unfortunate that right now, this game, it can like drop down to like, I saw like 9 frames per second, and that's just crazy. So yeah, the performance overall just isn't that great. But I would say the worst part of this game are definitely the Divine Beast sections, where you're going like 2 miles an hour, you're shooting these like repetitive bullets at these enemies that are like tiny little dots on your screen. It's just not entertaining overall. It just doesn't feel fun to me. Maybe it feels fun to you. Definitely let me know if you like these Divine Beast sections of this game. But I honestly just find them annoying, and I wish that I could just skip them because they don't add anything special to the game. I think they actually hurt the pacing overall. I think that's why they exist, because they wanted to mix things up a bit so you're not doing the same thing over and over. But honestly, if all this game was running from point A to point B, killing a bunch of enemies, that would be perfectly fine with me. I find the combat that fun. I don't need these like special things in between. And you know, toss in a mini boss and a big boss throughout, and I am happy. I think that the combat stands on its own as being just super fun to play, and I just wish they did not do these Divine Beast sections. Or I wish that they were skippable, to be honest, because maybe people want to do them, but I just don't find them fun. But yeah, like I said, let me know what you think about the Divine Beast sections. I don't know if I'm alone in that one. I haven't really watched or read any reviews on this game. But yeah, let me know everything you think down in the comments section below. Those were my unscripted thoughts on Age of Calamity for Nintendo Switch, out now for $60. I do love the combat in this game, and I really like the game overall. I just wish this was a story that actually used the continuity created in Breath of the Wild. That's the biggest disappointing factor, alongside the performance and the Divine Beast sections. Those are my 3 bugaboos in this game. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you didn't, hit that thumbs down. And also let me know what you think of these types of videos where I go a little bit longer, I give my thoughts more clearly on things, instead of doing a traditional review where I write everything out. Yes, things are a bit more sloppy when I do it like this, but I feel like you're getting a more honest opinion without me trying to nitpick every single little thing that I'm writing. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs down if you didn't, and I will talk to you guys later. See ya.